Dear Pisces, have you ever felt like you were gently drifting through a dreamlike world where every emotion becomes a quiet melody and every breath is a whispered prayer? It's me, Pisces, writing to you, and I want to invite you into a space where you can finally exhale. You see, I know your soul. You are not like everyone else. You feel in colors others haven't yet discovered. You hear the hush of the moonlight. You cry for strangers, and you celebrate the triumphs of others as if they were your own. You don't just live in the world, you melt into it. Every story, every glance, every flicker of emotion touches you. You absorb everything. And while that's such a beautiful gift, I know it can be heavy too. Because when you feel everything, how do you make space for your own heart? So today, Pisces, I want to write this letter, not as a guide, but as a gentle reminder from one tender soul to another that your softness is sacred and your joy is not something you must earn. It is your birthright. The tender strength of a Pisces heart, being Pisces, means carrying an ocean within your chest. It means having dreams that are too vast for words. It means longing for something more beauty, more meaning, more soul. But it also means you often find yourself overwhelmed by other people's pain, by a world that doesn't always honor sensitivity, by the quiet ache of not being understood. You give and give and give, and sometimes you don't even realize how much of yourself you've poured out until there's barely a drop left. And still you show up with gentleness. Still you hope. Still you love. That, dear Pisces, is not weakness. That is resilience in its most sacred form. Letting go of what was never yours to carry. Let me ask you gently, how much of what you're feeling right now is truly yours? Because I know you've been holding everyone else's emotions. You feel responsible when someone you love is hurting. You think maybe if I just love a little more, they'll heal. Maybe if I'm softer, quieter, more forgiving, things won't fall apart. But sweet soul, the truth is, not everything broken is yours to fix. Not every storm is meant to be weathered by your heart alone. You can let go, not of love, no, never of that, but of the weight that was never meant for your shoulders. Reclaiming joy, one moment at a time. So how do we return to joy? Not the loud, flashy kind, but the quiet kind that lives in your bones. The joy that feels like a sigh at sunset. The joy that tiptoes into your chest when you hear your favorite melody. The joy that blooms when you water a plant and watch it thrive under your care. That's the kind of joy I want to bring you back to. Let's try something together. Each day, just one moment, one tiny seed of light. Write it down. A line of poetry you whispered to yourself. The way a candle flickered and made your room feel safe. How it felt to close your eyes and hear nothing but the hush of your own breath. These moments are not small. They are sacred. They are how Pisces returns to herself. Creative rituals for the healing heart. Pisces, you are an artist of the spirit. Even if you don't paint or sing or write, your life is still a canvas. You see magic in places others overlook. So I invite you to create not for success, not for applause, but for the sheer joy of it. Light a candle and write a love letter to your inner child. Doodle stars in the margin of your grocery list. Sing in the shower like the whole ocean is your stage. Create like it's a form of prayer, because for you it is. The sacred pause, when the world becomes too loud and your soul starts to ache from too much feeling. You don't need to do more. You just need to pause. Put your hand on your heart. Breathe. Let your mind soften like silk unraveling, and whisper, "Dear Pisces, you are allowed to rest. This is not avoidance. This is alignment. This is you coming home to yourself." When grief visits the dreamer, let's talk about what no one wants to say out loud. The days when even beauty feels like too much. The days when your dreams seem too tender for this harsh world. The days when you wonder, why do I feel everything so deeply? You're not broken, Pisces. You're just honest. You see truth without filters. You mourn what others dismiss. You long for wholeness in a fractured world. And that longing, it's not wrong. It's what makes you divine. But please remember, you are allowed to protect your energy, to say no, to walk away from what drains you, to guard your peace like the precious tide it is. Your joy is not selfish. Sometimes you feel guilty for being happy when others are in pain. You dim your light so no one feels uncomfortable. You silence your laughter in a world that's grieving. But here's what I need you to hear, sweet Pisces. Your choice or joy doesn't hurt anyone. Your joy heals. When you smile, you remind others that softness can survive. When you dream, you give that others permission to hope again. When you feel joy, even for one tiny second, you're restoring balance in a world too used to numbness. So please do not apologize for joy. It is one of your greatest gifts, letting the ocean within you flow. If your heart feels blocked or your spirit feels tired, let yourself return to water. Take a long bath. Visit a lake. Listen to the sound of rain. Let your thoughts ripple outward like petals floating downstream. Water is your element, Pisces. It remembers what you forget, that emotions are meant to move, that healing is not linear, that stillness is not emptiness, it is grace. Let your tears come if they need to. Let your laughter rise like waves. Let yourself feel everything, because that's how you release. That's how you begin again. A letter to your future self. One day, not too far from now, you'll look back at this moment and realize you were never lost. You were simply deep in the ocean, learning to trust the current. You'll see how every ache shaped your compassion, how every quiet act of creativity was a doorway to your true self, how every pause, every tear, every whisper of joy was a sacred thread in the tapestry of your becoming. So keep drifting gently, Pisces, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. You don't need to rush. You don't need to prove. You only need to feel, to breathe, to be. And if this letter speaks to you, share it. Leave a comment below with something that brought you peace today, even if it's just a breeze on your cheek or a memory that made you smile. And when you're ready, come spend time with the other letters in this playlist, each one written for hearts just like yours. Pisces, your soul is music, and every soft, shimmering note you carry matters more than you know.